There's a certain silence that falls inside some of us, a hush between intention and action, a heaviness that builds behind the eyes. You know it before you name it. This weight that tethers you in place, even as the world spins forward and the hours slip quietly past. It's not the absence of desire or the lack of dreams. It's the slow unraveling of inner drive that makes even the simplest motion feel vast and impossible. This emptiness is not laziness. It's not a character flaw. It is, in its essence, the story of your brain, the quiet ballet of neurons trying and failing to spark the flame of possibility. If you resonate with this content, consider subscribing for more videos like this. Motivation, that electric current driving us from intention to action, is woven into the roots of our biology. Deep in the folds of the brain, the interplay of chemistry and circuitry determines not just what we do, but how we feel about the prospect of doing anything at all. When motivation slips away, the mind and body are caught in a fog, and modern neuroscience reveals that this fog is not a metaphorical one, but a physical state shaped by the delicate orchestration and disruption of neurochemical signals within intricate pathways. The problem, the struggle, the cyclical defeat, it is all inscribed in the pacing of synapses, the steps and missteps of neural dance. Part 2. Deep Neuroscience and Emotional Exploration. Within your skull, a profound story unfolds every time you attempt to start and cannot. The prefrontal cortex, particularly its dorsolateral aspect, is your conductor, orchestrating thoughts, regulating goals, weighing effort against reward. Beside it, in the mesolimbic system, lies the nucleus accumbens, the heart of the brain's motivation and reward circuitry. When functioning smoothly, bursts of dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation, salience, and hope, flow from the ventral tegmental area to the nucleus accumbens, igniting that brief, shining moment when you sense possibility, feel the future's call. Dopamine maps meaning. It signals what is worth your effort, what draws you into engagement, what glimmers with importance in a world awash in indifference. But for the brain beset by lost motivation, these rivers slow and sometimes run dry. Damage, depletion, or chronic dysregulation in dopamine circuits, whether shaped by genetics, stress, or enduring disappointment, means that the signals of reward shrivel. The world's colors fade, not in the world itself, but in the brain's inner theater. Even goals once cherished become remote. The prefrontal cortex, crucial for willpower and long-term planning, struggles to maintain control when dopamine transmission falters. Instead of clarity and direction, there is wandering, a slow slide into the inertia of why try. The insula, that deeply buried region responsible for internal states and bodily awareness, registers the ache of disconnection, amplifying the sensation that nothing matters enough to begin. Motivation is not just a burst, but a feedback loop, a system of anticipation, action, and reward, encoded in connections between the prefrontal cortex, the basal ganglia, and limbic circuits. Glutamate, the brain's principal excitatory messenger, helps signal the shift from wanting to doing, shepherding intention into movement, sustaining engagement when obstacles arise. When glutamatergic transmission is disrupted by stress, trauma, or learned helplessness, the go signal dims. The anterior cingulate cortex, the monitor of errors and expectation, becomes overactive with the noise of perceived failure and underactive when tracking progress. The hypothalamus, regulating energy and arousal, flickers uncertainly. Serotonin, the architect of mood, resilience, and satisfaction, intertwines with dopamine in subtle, intricate patterns. When serotonin is low, hope drains away. Even rewards begin to taste bitter, and the will to reach for them dissipates. Part 3. Internal world, contradictions, and behavioral patterns. To dwell inside a brain that loses motivation easily is to walk an invisible maze. You may desire change, crave accomplishment, and yet find yourself motionless. The internal monologue spirals. Why bother? Why now? Why you? The paradox grows sharper because you remember what it is to feel alive, recall moments seized and built upon, and question why the machinery has grown still. The mind is not empty but crowded, filled with echoes of missed chances and faint ambitions, ghosts of conviction slipping through your grasp. Inside, protective mechanisms unfurl. The brain that expects pain or disappointment shields itself with numbness. It reduces the sting by softening desire itself. The lateral habenula, a forbidding little cluster in the epithalamus, becomes more active when expectations are repeatedly unmet. It sends a biochemical signal of no reward expected downstream into motivation circuits, further suppressing dopamine, amplifying the inner message that there's no point in beginning. In these moments, neural pathways created through countless repetitions of inaction reinforce themselves until even the suggestion of hope or initiative is met with inertia. Self-sabotage is not a moral failing but a well-worn track in neurobiology, a groove cut deep by repetition and reinforced by neurotransmitter imbalance. Emotional loops sustain themselves. The insula maps bodily exhaustion, broadcasting the signals of fatigue. The anterior cingulate highlights your failures, magnifies every aborted effort. Self-monitoring grows so loud it drowns out the faint spark of curiosity or excitement. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex, meant to weigh possible outcomes, sinks under the burden of negative predictions, defaulting toward avoidance. The brain, striving to protect you from disappointment, inadvertently builds a cage from which it seldom escapes. Patterns that once prevented pain become the source of chronic stuckness, not because you chose stasis, but because your neural architecture has learned that hope is dangerous, that effort is seldom rewarded, that rest is safest even when it chokes you with regret. Part 4. Philosophical Reflection plus Closing Message. Here, in the shadowed quiet of lost motivation, there is a strange humility, a whispered wisdom. The architecture of the brain, with its light and shadow, does not exist in binaries of strong or weak, driven or lazy. It is a living tapestry, endlessly weaving probabilities from biochemistry, experience, and genetic inheritance. Every failure to begin, every abandoned task, every night spent marinating in the ache of wasted potential is not evidence of lesser worth, but a testament to the complexity of being alive in a body, in a world, in a mind shaped by factors unchosen. Peering into the tangled networks of the brain, we find not emptiness, but the poetry of survival, the ways in which neural circuits protect, adapt, shy away, and sometimes surrender. The basal ganglia, the prefrontal cortex, the lateral habenula. Together, they paint a portrait not of laziness but of wounds and wisdom, of neural lessons that reinterpret safety as stillness. The mystery is not why motivation leaves, but how a brain decides that, for now, not moving is safer than leaping. Even so, the capacity for change, that patient property of neuroplasticity, lives quietly in every cell. Within the silent code of synapses fired and not fired lies the delicate invitation to possibility, the rare grace of becoming. The story of lost motivation is not a solitary one. It echoes in the neural landscapes of millions, weaving the private ache of stasis into the universal tapestry of striving and stumbling. To lose momentum is not to lose the whole of oneself. The electricity of life, the capacity for hope, remains latent, tender, waiting. This is the hum of existence itself, a restless, unfinished symphony, orchestrated by the most intricate instrument in the universe, unsure but still, somehow, endlessly becoming.